Learn how to build the user interface of a to-do list application using HTML and CSS. Here is my boilerplate code, and in this lesson, we won't write any JavaScript code. Firstly, we want to focus on creating the structure that our to-do application will use, and then we'll apply JavaScript code to control it in later lessons. Now, every JavaScript application starts with HTML. A good illustration would be when you want to build a house. You first need to lay a foundation, you had blocks, you had bricks, and you had other things. And after that, you can proceed when the house is completed, when the structure of the house is completed, and do things like painting it. That is, you want to enhance the house, and that can be compared to how we use CSS on top of HTML code. And finally, you can do some interactivities in the house, like doing things like maybe if you have a remote control gate, that's like how JavaScript works on the layer of both HTML and CSS. So anytime you want to build a JavaScript application, it still always starts with HTML. And that is because before JavaScript can make a web page interactive, we first need to build the element that users will see and interact with. And so in this lesson, we want to start the process of building our to-do app. And we're going to start using HTML and CSS. And after that, we're going to move on to JavaScript code, where we are going to be using it to manipulate the HTML and the other parts of the application that you have built already. So in this lesson, we are going to be creating about 4 different aspects of this to-do app. Number one is we are going to be adding a page title, which is what we are going to be adding in our code. We are going to be adding a text box for entering tasks, and we are also going to be adding an add task button as well as an empty list where tasks will appear when they are being added to our app. Although after adding all these things, nothing is actually going to work yet, but it's an important first step, because JavaScript needs this HTML element before it can actually interact with them. So let's move into our code and let's start adding what we need to do. So in the title, as you can see, where we have JavaScript programming language, I am going to update this and change it to to-do list app. So if you look at the right hand side, so we will see this part representing our web page, and this is going to be where we are going to be seeing the output of anything that we are doing in this example. So if you look closely at my screen, you can see that immediately I changed this to to-do list app. You can see the effect here in the title of our application. So let's move on. Now let's add our HTML inside our inside this space. I want us to add it inside this space, and this space is this paragraph. What you can see here is what corresponds to this. So this is where we are going to be adding our code. So let's first add a container using a div. So let's make a div element, and let's give it a class of maybe let's give it a class of container. So now you can see a div, and that's a class of container. And inside it, let me add maybe an H4 or H3. And then let's put the name of our app, to list app. Now you can see that it immediately showed up inside my web page. So now that we have done this, the next thing is we want to add an input element. So this input is going to take a type of what you want to be input into it. So it will take a type of text, and we are also going to give it an ID, and that ID is going to be an ID of task. And let's also add a placeholder, and this is going to be enter a task. So now you can see that immediately I enter this, you can see it's showing down here. Even though it is not yet styled, this is how it will look right now, because this is just HTML. We are just adding a skeleton of or a structure of what our app should look like. So now that I have this, I can come down here and add a button. This button inside it, let's just put a simple text and say add task. So now you can see add task. Now that I have done this, let's also add an order listing, just as I said earlier about the four things that we are going to be building. So let's ask an unordered listing, and let's give it an ID of list. And let's close our unordered list. And right now, you can see what we are trying to build on the screen. To do list app, which corresponds to our header. Then we have an input element, which is where we are going to be putting anything. You can see I can type inside this input box, and this is going to be the button that is going to be responsible for adding those tags whenever we we add a task into that input button. But now if you look at our code, it's ugly. So we need to add some CSS. We can either do it inside of this place, inside our head section, and put our style here, or we can put it inside a separate file. So since we already have a CSS style file, so let me just add it there, and let's begin to style our application. So the first thing that we want to style, which is what we have already, is the body. And if you look at this code, I think we already have a body. So our body is already styled. So let's move to the next thing item. And the next thing we want to style in this example is the container. So let's style our container. It's a class element. So container, and inside this container, let's add a width. Let's give it like a width of 400 pixels. Then let's also add a margin, and for the margin, let's give it 50 pixel also. And let's also add a background, and our background can be maybe white. In our case, let's take it out because it will spoil what we already have in the body. So I'll take the background out. So instead, I'll just add a padding of 20 pixels. Let's see how this looks. I think this is okay. So now that I have this padding, let me add border radius as well, and give it like 8 pixels. 8 pixels. So this is okay. So now that we have styled that, let's look at the next element in line. And the next thing to style is our input, which is this element. So let's move ahead and style our input. Input can be styled this way. Then let's give it width 100%. Let's see. Oh, this is too much. So let's make it 50%. Let's try 50%. Okay, I think this is still fine. So let's add a padding of 10 pixels. This is too much. Then margin bottom of 10 pixels. Margin bottom. This is too much. Let me make it 5. Let's see how 5 looks like. Fine. 5 is okay. This, let's add box size to border box. Fine. So now that we've styled this, the next thing is our button. So let's style our button as well. So let's give a button a width of, let's try 50% first and see how it will look like. This is too much. So let's give it 20%. It's too small. So 30%. I think 30% should be okay. Okay, good. 30% is fine. What else? Let's add a padding of 10 pixels. Padding of 10 pixels. Now let's add cursor to the pointer so that when we hover on it, you can see this is our cursor. But when we put it on this, it will change into an hand icon. But because of this, let me change this to maybe like 7 pixels so that it can match. I think this is fine. Let me change this to 60. 60. Let me change this to 30. Weather radius to 10. Oh, sorry. I've been editing the wrong thing. I want to edit the inputs. I want to change padding to 10. Good. And let me put this as 10. So you can see both of the input button as well as our the input feed rather, as well as our add task button. And finally, let us tie the unordered list, which is the UL. And for the unordered list, let's just add a few things to it, as you can see here in our example. So let's just add a padding left of 20 pixels. This is okay. It is actually not going to show now because we have not yet added anything into it. So we have come to the end of this lesson. What have we been able to do? We've been able to create our HTML elements and we have been able to style them. You can see all the styles that apply to container, input button, and another list. So we have begun scaffolding our to-do list app.